For almost a decade, vaping was a major part of my life. I couldn't go anywhere or do anything without my vape. If I didn't have one, or I couldn't use it, I was like a crack addict. Vaping had so much control over my life that I felt like a prisoner to my habits with no hope of getting free. I was suffocating, depressed, and having other medical and mental problems, all brought on by my addiction. Just over a year ago, though, I decided I was done. I was going to break free of the toxic relationship I had entered when I was 15. For those of you that don't know, I hit a vape for the first time in my high school locker room when I was 15 years old. It tasted wonderful, looked cool, and I wanted more. But I was 15 and I didn't think I could buy the stuff that I wanted on my own. At least not yet. So I asked my friend that was a little bit older if he could go and get me the stuff that I had wanted for my vape, the flavors, the devices, everything that I wanted. And he was doing it for a little while. He would go get all of the juices and coils and everything that I wanted for my vapes. And he would get me zero nicotine juice, which that's what I wanted because I didn't want to build an addiction. But he insisted on the fact that it made both of us look like pussies because there was no nicotine and everyone was doing at least 3 milligrams. You have to give it at least a little bit and make it worth a while or there's no reason to do it. That's what he kept telling me. So I fell for the trick. I started getting nicotine juice with 3 milligrams in it, and that's where I got hooked. I slowly fell in love with nicotine and found out that I was able to go to the vape store by myself and I would buy all of the devices, all of the different mods, tanks, flavors, everything that I possibly could for the vape so that I was able to stay up to date and have all of the newest and coolest stuff and feed my addiction. Not even when the law changed to where you had to be 21 in order to go and get nicotine did that stop me. I found workarounds. I would go to the shops that would let me in and I would buy every sort of juice that they had and give everything a try, no matter what. But in order to quit, I had to do a lot of self-reflection and change my mindset. Like I said earlier, I knew I was having a lot of mental and physical health problems due to vaping and my toxic habit, and I knew it was time to quit. But I also knew that I couldn't just go cold turkey. And that's where this video picks up following the video I made a year ago. So, hey guys. It's Dan. I hope you all are doing well. Those of you that stuck around from my initial video kind of find this as a nice welcome surprise and update to that original video so that you don't feel like you were just kind of left in the dark and that I was actually doing what I said I was going to be. But for those of you that are just now finding my channel and just now finding me from this video, I started my journey to quit vaping 1 year ago. I made a video on this channel how I was planning on doing it, and let's just say it was a struggle for sure. I am 100% clean of vaping, but it was a fight, and a fight that I thought I was going to lose at times, but thankfully I didn't. So for any of you guys that are new, let's get a little bit up to speed. I had planned on quitting vaping and moving over to Zens to kind of help cure my nicotine addiction. And that is what I was going to use to help get 100% clean and move on from that problem. And for the first month, I stuck to it really, really well. But after that, I started a new job and was doing good there, but I ended up having a few miserable weeks, and they were so bad that I actually ended up going to the gas station and buying a vape to hit and use for the time being because I just needed that relief. It was so bad that I just needed something to kind of help me get through it. And let me tell you, those first couple of hits tasted like heaven. But after the second and third one, I felt miserable. I was not only upset because I was having a bad week, but I was mad at myself for failing on the promise that I had made to quit vaping. And I only took a few of those hits, and then I ended up actually giving that one away. So I didn't use that one the whole way through. I gave it to somebody else that was in need of one and let them have that. But I also told them, I was like, hey, I'm trying to quit. I don't need this around because I'm going to end up using it. If I do keep it around, it's going to be a crutch, and I can't have that. A little bit more time went by and I was doing great. I hadn't even thought about one. I wasn't missing it, but I started going to football games and doing pictures at those games, kind of like this one here, and was able to just kind of meet a lot of people and get back into that. But at football games, of course, you're doing a lot of drinking, and what goes better with beer than a cigarette? But actually for me, it was a vape. I don't like cigarettes. I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste of them. So that wasn't me. but vapes were readily available. And after a few drinks, I saw some people hitting them that I had become friends with and asked for them. I was like, hey, can I have a little puff off of that? And of course, since I was taking pictures for free and giving it to them, they're like, hell yeah, dude, here's just take it. You can have the rest of this, and here's a beer. It was really nice meeting a lot of people, and amazing how kind a lot of them were, and made a lot of really good memories. But unfortunately, I fell back into the trap. Thankfully, the ones that I was given were only like a couple of puffs away from being done, but this made me crave it even more. So I went and bought one, and I used that whole one up that whole season. I wasn't really using it throughout the week, but I was taking it to football games and using it to puff on. It was great because it scratched the itch that I wanted, as well as was a nice little way to talk to more people, calm the anxiety, and share something around that people were comfortable with, and helped you kind of get an in and become more friendly with them. But by the time that one had run out, I hated myself yet again. I was so upset that I had broken the promise to myself that I said that I was going to keep, and then I failed and re-promised myself, and here I was failing again. This one is the one that really kind of set me off and lit the fire underneath me, to where it was like, you will not break your promise to yourself yet again, nor will you break the promise that you made to all of you guys that I was going to be done, and I was going to share my journey with you guys and be completely vape free like I had said. With me going to the games and football season being like right in the midst of the season and wanting to take more pictures and meet a lot of new people, I knew that I needed something. I was using Zens for the nicotine, and I decided to pick up a fume. So I totally fell for that YouTube marketing scam and picked up that fume and thought it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread. And let me tell you what, unless you absolutely need some form of oral fixation, do not waste your money on that. That thing is a absolute piece of shit. Mine did not last but maybe a month or two before it broke and was completely worthless. And most of the flavors made me want to throw up. So I guess it was good for that. It made me not want to be sucking on anything remotely similar to a vape or a cigarette or a cigar, because the flavors were so bad that I would actually gag most of the time. The mint and the cinnamon for me were good, but those were gone probably within the first 2 weeks. And it was just really, really sad and worthless. And the whole thing busted. The little section that you put the cotton things in broke and was just spinning freely. So you would never be able to get a inhale out of it because it would always somehow manage to block itself. It's not worth it. Go get yourself some Cokes from Walmart or some Cokes from the fridge and just sip on it through a straw. It'll be 1,000 times better. Just be careful of how much sugar you're ingesting. I would maybe find some sort of replacement or a healthier alternative to some Cokes, because they do have a lot of sugar, but that was my favorite thing, especially when I was driving. I needed a Coca-Cola from McDonald's specifically to just slowly sip on for my long drives. So that's what I would recommend. Do not buy a fume. They are not worth it. And not that I ever will get to that point, but I will never be sponsored by Fume. I just can't stand their product. But where am I now? So currently I am 100% vape free. I have not had one in a very long time. I don't remember the date because I probably should have kept track of it, but I just didn't. It wasn't necessarily something that I really cared all that much for. So I just didn't keep a whole lot of track of it. But I know that it has been several months for sure, at least 3 since I have touched one. And I'm very grateful for that. I feel a lot better. You may be able to hear that I do still gasp a little bit for air when I'm doing my intakes. I don't know if that's necessarily something that is left over from the vapes, or if that's just something that I do because I'm a little nervous recording these videos, because I don't feel like I do that a whole lot in any other circumstance. I just kind of like that, forget to breathe when I'm talking. So that may or may not be part of it, but I do sleep better. I do feel better. I'm not always coughing. I'm a little backed up right now just because I have had to sleep with a fan on because it's been so hot, and those just rattle my entire nose and throat and everything like that. But I feel so much better. Plus, even when I am buying the Zens and things like that, I'm saving a lot more money using them as opposed to my vapes, because I would spend upwards of $40 to $60 every single week on a vape when I was in the midst of my addiction and fully involved with it. And now I maybe spend $30, $35 a week at most. And that's if I'm really having a bad week where I need some nicotine. I'm just kind of going through them like, like a crack addict. I don't know, but I have saved a lot more money just by using the Zens and weaning myself off. But my next step is to go ahead and quit the Zens. Now, I am hoping to do that within the next year. I'm kind of planning on doing the same thing that I did this last year when it came to vaping, and slowly weaning myself off of them. I am good with them. I can go several hours, maybe even a couple of days without them and feel completely fine. I don't have the crazy withdrawals that I was having previously when it would come to having a vape. I wouldn't freak out. I would just be more like, well, that kind of sucks. I would like one of those right now, especially after I eat, but they're not as crazy and don't make me as crazy for them when I don't have them. I can get by and I don't need them. So I am very, very grateful for that. And if you are somebody that doesn't vape, doesn't chew, doesn't smoke, and you are watching this video, thank you for watching, but don't ever try it. It's not worth the hassle and the fight to get out of it. You're basically imprisoning yourself for no reason. You're causing yourself your own pain and demise with no reward. Sure, you may get a little bit of a high out of it, but it's not worth it. I haven't had a nicotine high in years because of how much I consumed consistently. It just built up my tolerance so high, I would probably have to have nicotine just injected into my blood veins to potentially even have the thought of having a nicotine buzz. So I would not recommend it, and don't suggest that you ever try it. I know that every now and then a drunk cig is okay, but everything in moderation. I do occasionally have a cigar with my dad when I'm home for the holidays, but that's few and far between because, like I said, I don't really like the smoke of cigarettes or cigars. It's just not my forte. But I'm curious to know, have any of you guys quit smoking, vaping, chewing, or are you thinking about it? And if you have, what are some of the best tricks and advice that you could give to somebody else that is in this situation that's wanting to quit or slowly working on quitting? What advice do you have for them, and what recommendations would you give them to help them quit? For me, I feel like you for sure have to have some way of coping with the reduced amount of nicotine. I would recommend, if you are going from like vaping or something like that, to either wean yourself off and slowly drop nicotine amounts to a point that you don't necessarily need or crave it as much as you do. Or if you just don't think that's really a possibility, buy yourself some Zens and work from a 6 to a 3 and go on down from there, and use that to help cover that craving for nicotine, and maybe find something like a Coca-Cola, or maybe, if you might work for you, something to do that oral fixation. Because I know that that was something for me, as I really just wanted to have something to puff on for a little while, or something to suck on just to keep me at peace. It was my adult binky that I don't need anymore. I finally outgrew it. Hoorah. Thank God. I don't know. But yeah, I'm very glad that I'm done with it. And I'm really curious to know what kind of thoughts and opinions you guys have, your struggles, what you recommend, and everything in between. This is my journey, and I would love to know a little bit about yours if you're willing to share. But thank you guys for watching. I'm hoping to, like I said, quit the Zens here soon and move on with my life with no nicotine in it. And once I do quit those Zens, I will keep you guys updated and make another video on what I did to remove those from my life and kind of move on and better my health. But with that, you guys, thank you all for watching. My name is Dan, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.